Hello.
Matty,
Sup, bro?
how you going, mate? All right?
I'm going fantastic. How are you going?
Good, mate. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Cool.
How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Thanks for staying up so late to do this.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I left work a little bit late, so it
Yeah,
was taking a little bit longer than I expected. That's all.
cool, man. Um, so first of all, I'm hiding out in my bedroom. We've got family and stuff here, so I normally be out with my special mic and everything. So
All
yeah,
good. All good.
don't mind, mate. We'll just persevere with the realness that is my bedroom.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
You, where are you? You're in your garage, is it?
Garage. Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I like it.
Nice little space.
Cool, man. So thanks for doing this. It's a bit
All good,
random.
man. All good.
Um, and we finally get to meet.
Yeah, finally. It was funny. I actually added you
Yeah.
just one day because I typed in, I wonder if there's any other Matt Collinses that are like into the same shit. And so
Yeah.
I literally found you and I was just like, oh, fuck it, why not? And I just added you.
Do you know any other Matt Collinses?
I added one other one,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's up to much.
Yeah. Okay.
But no one near me. No.
I didn't really think about it too much. I didn't realize how sort of common our name is until I went to get the domain name, mattcollins.com.
Yeah.
And I've been trying for years, and every time I go to get it, it's not actually a site, but someone's always paid for the domain.
I know, right? I like emailed and shit and like try to get in contact, but it never worked for me.
Exactly. There was a famous singer back in the 50s and 60s called Matt Collins.
Yeah, I've been like when I was doing more kind of like my own shit, I was always trying to like bump up like above that guy, but I just fucking this guy is
This guy, he's dead and he's still beating us.
this guy.
That's our goal, mate. We have to beat that Matt Collins, the singer.
Just that guy. Like if it's no one else, just him.
Just him and you. As long as I beat those two Matt Collinses, I'm happy.
That's it. That's the only competition you've really got in life.
That's right. Nice one. So tell us a little bit about this TCI. I mean, I know what TCI is, but for someone that doesn't, tell us what TCI is.
Sure. So TCI is an abbreviation for the Coaching Institute, and they are a life coaching school that is based in Melbourne, in Victoria, and we've been running for 14 years, founded by Sharon Pearson, and it has evolved. It has changed locations. It has changed teams. It has changed employees. It has changed so much in the systems as well as of late, ever since me joining 2 months ago, which is actually in our massive meetings that we have annually or every couple of years, which is called What Matters Most.
Yeah, nice.
And it's been a huge change for myself personally, because now I actually have that accountability of a job and a role and of actually doing things in a certain structured set time, like 8 till 5:30 or when I decide to come in early usually, and planning out my days, getting that personal mentoring every day from not only the leader, but from everyone in the team, being able to provide constant feedback on where I'm at and where I can improve. And then just so many opportunities opening up. Like I'm going to be moving out into St. Kilda area in the next couple of weeks,
Wow,
max a month. And so that's going to be really exciting, actually fully by myself, because I've moved out once before, but that was like with another mate in kind of a share housey kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now I've got the funds to move out by myself.
Oh, good one,
So
mate. That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Tell me a little bit more about the Coaching Institute. So, and more so from your point of view, why get involved in that, and how old were you when you did?
Sure. So I actually have a pretty funny story about that. My involvement with TCI was my sister and my mother actually went to one of their free events, and they really enjoyed it. They loved it. They signed themselves up, and they knew that I would love it. And I didn't have anything going for me at the moment at that time, because I was initially going to go over to America and do college soccer over there.
Wow.
But then I decided to cancel those plans just because injuries, and I had enough of it, kind of thing, just being injured every game, and it was rubbish. But that's another story. And so they signed themselves up. They signed. Hey?
Are you a decent soccer player, would you say?
Well, I go all right. I've got about 15 years in the tank, so yeah, okay. I've got a bit of experience. I go all right. Mm-hmm. Obviously a little bit rusty from not playing too much, but yeah, I go all right. I hold my own.
Okay.
But yeah, they signed themselves up, signed me up as well, and they didn't tell me about this. And then there's a training called the Foundations of Coaching Success that TCI runs, which is the first paid event before you get into the actual coursework. And they told me that Fox Foundations of Coaching Success was a free event. And so they were just like, oh, we'll just come along and see if you like it. Now, I don't know what their motives were, but I come along. I was super skeptical, just really wanting to make sure that it was the right thing for me to be doing, and not too sure about what was going to happen. And so I get in the room, and by lunchtime I was hooked. I was so intrigued. I was all in, and I actually go to Mum in the lunch break. I really want to sign up. I want to do this. And she's like, "You already signed up." And then I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And then I was like, "Well, how about we upgrade as well?" And so everyone in the family upgraded as well.
What does upgrade mean?
Sure. So there's 4 core levels in TCI.
Yeah.
Practitioner level 1, advanced practitioner level 2, master practitioner level 3, and pro coach level 4. And so it's the different levels obviously have lots of different things intermingled into them. The long and the short of it is practitioner is more just for one-on-one personal development. Advanced practitioner, that's more advanced one-on-one, getting a little bit of business, but not too much. Level 3, master practitioner, that's into speaking and one-to-many, and obviously a little bit more business in that as well. And then professional coach is heavily business, lots about marketing and sales and websites, and really a whole over-encompassing of your entire internet strategy, business strategies.
Got it. So you were saying that the coaching institute at the start, you said it's about life coaching, but there's a lot more to it than that, right?
So much. So much more than just a life coaching school. You have the opportunity to grow into, if you're wanting to do one-to-many and doing speaking and facilitation, if you're wanting to do business coaching, there's also a couple modules on health and wellness coaching as well. So it's very multifaceted, but it's also one of the best business coaching schools as well. Apart from its prestigious life coaching capabilities.
Yeah, got it, mate. That's really cool. So what's in it for you? What's the long-term goal for you doing this education?
Totally. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest opportunities I've got access to with especially working at TCI now is the facilitation side of things. So they have this methodology called metadynamics, and there's 3 different levels of training. Now, metadynamics is built on NLP with a lot of different kind of learnings and things that Sharon Pearson has come across in her journey, and she's developed metadynamics, and there's 3 trainings. So there's metadynamics 1, metadynamics 2, and metadynamics 3. I've done the first 2, and it'd probably take a little bit too long to explain in detail what those really are. Metadynamics 3, though, is facilitation. So not so much being a trainer, and not so much just talking at people, but spurring conversation in rooms and in wherever you are for a speaking engagement. And that's my outlook, at least for the short term, for getting onto webinars then progressing into speaking, and then potentially progressing into speaking outside of TCI down the track a little bit further. And even if I don't get into speaking, even if I don't get into facilitation, it's still a wonderful skill set to have regardless, and a lot of personal growth is required to get there.
That's great, mate. Really, really, really good. And how did you fall into having a job there?
So it's funny. I actually applied 3 times before I actually got the job.
Yeah.
So I near like the start of my journey, like between like 6 and 8 months, I applied, and he's like, "No, you're not ready." And then like 3 or 4 months later, I applied again. He's like, "No, you're not ready."
Who's this? Who's telling you that?
Matt Levaz. So he's the WOW team leader and one of the head facilitators within the Coaching Institute. So he has, I suppose, the power in being able to hire and fire within the WOW team.
Okay.
And so 3 times, and then the 4th time, they actually sent out an email asking for WOW team members because they'd lost quite a few people in the recent months. And so I put my name down. I came in for an interview, but I was actually interviewing for the sales team for the Marvels. And I had a conversation with him, and then he said, "You'd actually be a better fit for the WOW team." And so then I came in for a trial day, did really well, really enjoyed it. They said I did well and said that it was a good fit. And so I've stayed. And so now we're 2 months later, and I'm loving it. They're loving me being there. And it's been a phenomenal growing journey for myself as well, more so than anything as well.
Just getting paid to do a job, yeah. What does the WOW team mean?
Sorry, so WOW team is student support. So all of the different sections of the company have their own little groovy name. Yeah. So student support is a WOW team. The sales is Marvels. Then the marketing and like kind of behind the shop team is Dream Team. Then for accounts, you've got Midas. And then for admin, you've got Mission Control. So they've got all these cool groovy names for the different areas, just kind of been like bring fun and lightness to it.
Nice.
As well.
I like it.
So they've got these 10 values that are really good, that kind of guide everything we do. And yeah, it's really, really good.
That's cool, mate. Really good story. Can I be so rude as to ask how old you are?
I am 21 years old.
21?
Recently 21, in fact. That's it. I actually joined and started up coaching when I was 19. And so, well, on the precipice of 20. So I've been doing it for a little bit over a year now. So about a year and a half now. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey of self-discovery, self-development, and helping as many people as I can along the way.
That's cool. And I'm glad, I'm sure your mum is happy that you got into such a field at such a young age. I'm sure there's a lot of other 21-year-olds out there that aren't learning about life skills and coaching and business strategies and stuff like that.
If I had $1 every time that someone said they wish they were doing when I was my age, I'd already be a millionaire.
There you go, 100%. Well,
that's it.
Well, tell me about that then. So, 21 years old. Let's fast forward to my age, approaching 40-ish. Where would you like to be when you're staring down the barrel of 40? Where do you see yourself?
So my first things before 40 is I'm thinking by 30, completely financially independent. So I've got a good 9 years to build up a really strong base for like my finances in general. And I've just recently separated my money into different buckets. So I have like 10% here, 10% there, 55% here, 5% there.
Pay me
so
first.
I actually, Hey?
The whole pay me first principle?
Well, it's the 6 buckets principle.
Okay.
So it's 10% in 4, and then 5% for giving, and then 55% for living.
Nice.
And you've got like different one for investing, for education, for just blowing money, like just have fun with money,
Yeah.
10%. And then 10% for one other, I can't quite remember.
You got to have that blowing money one. That's important.
Totally. And so by 30, I'm looking at the very least to be completely financially stable and to have a full-time income from like passive investments, whether that be through property, whether that be through other things that I get dividends or royalties from, whatever it is. By 30, that's what I'm looking to have. Now, I don't know. I haven't looked quite too much further past 30. 40, I'm not too
that's
sure.
good. That's good. I like that. I like that because what I'm thinking, Matty, is as you're talking then is that people will watch this, and whether it be parents that they can show their teenagers or even teenagers themselves that are watching this, will really be able to relate to where you are. So my question, or maybe, sorry, I shouldn't say relate to where you are, but maybe picture themselves where you are, right? So
Sure.
You're in your early 20s, so sort of 4 or 5 years ago you were at school. Did you always have this mindset, or how were you at high school?
Sure. My biggest thing since I was about 4 years old was football or soccer, and the kind of pathway that I was thinking was professional soccer, play for the Socceroos, whatever, and just live off that. And I've come to realize that thinking wasn't kind of sustainable for me, not only for my body, but for the future, because you can only play sports for so long. And when I made the decision to not go over to America and not take that leap and not take that opportunity, I was feeling quite lost in what I was going to do. And I actually moved out to Burwood for 4 months because I thought I was going to get into a nutrition course, because that's one of my other hobbies, like nutrition, like eating well, being healthy. And I actually ended up getting into it 3 days after I moved out. And so I stayed there another 4 months, did coaching there for 3 months or whatever. And that just, I don't know, it changed my entire perspective of the world, because having the knowledge of things like cause and effect, being at cause rather than just letting the world happen to you. Like things like map is not the territory. So for those of you on the video that don't know what that is we all have our own individual maps of the world, but none of them are the actual thing themselves. So if I draw a picture of a pig and you draw a picture of a pig, neither of them are the pig, but it's our map of how a pig looks to us.
Got it.
Now, I suppose those, like the simplest, most basic coaching methodology, like models, were humongous for me in the beginning. And I remember I almost had no confidence from when I was at school. I'm not like bullied or anything, but I wouldn't like stand up for very much. And starting coaching, actually helping people and having like talks and communications about some really deep stuff, it's helped me as a person to grow and to being able to affect as many people positively as I can.
I bet. Give me an example. So what sort of challenges, and obviously, we don't want anyone's names or anything, but what sort of challenges would people come to you and the Coaching Institute for?
Sure. So in my early journey, it was a lot of surface level stuff. So whether it be procrastination, or whether it be like not having self-belief, or they're wanting to do more, or they're not doing enough, or I even had a schoolgirl, 17 or whatever, and just really really shy, not wanting to do very much, not wanting to go out with friends and things like that, and just really lacking confidence, and was able to take her from that into going out every Friday night with her friends and getting in groups and talking more and interacting in class and actually boosting that confidence. And I know I'm the guide, but she did all of it, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
I kind of just guided her to it. It's not so much about I did this for her. It's that I guided her to do it for herself.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. And
getting
yeah, go on.
So then getting into working at TCI, there have been quite a few deeper scenarios, whether that be someone's lost their job and they don't know how they're going to survive, or whether there's been a death in the family, or they're just wanting to do as much as they can and they're wanting to get out of their dead-end job and they're hating the reality that they're currently living. And being able to hold the space for people and to be there in that moment has not only been really special for me, but it's really touched the lives of those people as well. And
what does that mean, Matty? What does that mean when you say hold that space? Tell us what you mean by that.
Sure. So holding the space. So when you're having a conversation with someone and they're sharing something that's very deep to their heart or is very serious in their world, rather than just jumping in and saying, no, it'll be all right, it'll be okay, just do this, and being all logical about it, just sitting in that uncomfortable space of silence almost, if required, and not talking very much, but just being there with the person, just being there in the moment, because you don't need to say anything a lot of the time.
That's
you just
a skill,
need to
right?
be available.
That's that's a really powerful skill to have.
Yeah, it is. It is more so than just blatantly talking whatever comes out of your kind of mouth, kind of thing.
I've I don't know if you've noticed, but on social media at the moment, I've started this thing called the $10 experiment, and
I've seen that.
And it's taken on a life of its own, which initially I thought was a really positive and powerful thing. However, what I'm noticing is as it gets more and more exposure, I guess, is people are throwing negative stuff at it. Like
interesting.
Exactly. Like here I am saying,
why do you think that is?
Well, I've got a few thoughts, but I just want to sort of speak to what you were talking about there. Like someone might say, you're a scammer, you're trying to rip people off, blah blah blah. I don't go. I sort of sit in the space as you just said, and I don't automatically make them wrong, or I don't come back and fuel that argument. I don't fuel that fire, so to speak. I just sort of sit with it, and I'll even say something like, thanks for your thoughts, thanks for your opinion, thanks for being a part of this thing that we're doing, and I'll leave it there. And that it puts out the fire, I guess, to an extent. Some people it doesn't, they keep going, but I can't tell you why. I mean, you'd have to ask them, I suppose.
The biggest thing, like with that, is that it's their own shit reflecting back to them.
100%.
Like it's not the challenge. It's not the thing. It's them, their insecurities.
Sure. And and who knows why they're going off, right? Like there might be they got stung before, or they wish that they had set something up like this. Who knows? I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah.
But I'm really and I sort of deliberately turned our conversation to social media. Then I don't know if you noticed that, but
very sneakily, just slid it in there.
That's right. Mate, I'm really interested, in a big part of why I wanted to have this conversation, and for those that are watching this, you had, how long off of social media did you have?
Yeah, so I had a 30-day social media fast.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I got to the point where I was wanting to post every day, whether it be a video, whether it be on Snapchat, whether it be just like a text post, and trying to do that over all of the different networks and all the platforms that I have available to me. And I was finding I was getting like burnt out. I was getting frustrated because I was always kind of on edge of what could I make a post out of? Like, what's the heading going to be? What's the content going to be about? What's the photo? What's the video going to be about? And always thinking about how am I going to frame this? How am I going to put this? Where am I going to put this? When am I going to put this? On what platform am I going to put this?
You're stressing me out, man. Just listening to you.
all of these thoughts going around my head of how, when, why, which, what, like kind of thing constantly. Because if I wasn't on Facebook making a post, I'd be on Snapchat doing something. And if I wasn't on Snapchat, I'd be doing something on Twitter. If I wasn't on Twitter, then I'd be on Instagram. And just all of these different things just consuming me. So I made the decision that I was going to just go cold turkey for like 30 days. And it probably would have been more beneficial if I like documented the whole kind of journey. I did do like little sporadic videos whenever I felt the need. I wasn't sure whether I was going to post it or not, or edit it, or just keep it for my own like personal little learnings. I ended up posting it. And I don't know, it brought me back to what was more important. So obviously like building a following and getting quite a few views and likes and comments and whatnot, in this age is quite highly valued, except I suppose it did help people and people did really find value from it. Was it worth me taking so much time out of my day to do that? I'm yet to know. One of the biggest takeaways though is I had so much more time, an incredible amount of time for free thinking, just a space that I can think from rather than plan from, if that makes sense. The distinction being that always needing to put something out there versus wanting to put something out there. So like I was on like a cold turkey fast. So even if I wanted to put something out there,
you couldn't do it.
But totally. I found lots of little habits and patterns coming up in me as well. So whether that be cooking some food and waiting for it to like finish cooking, just grabbing my phone out and going on Facebook or checking through Instagram or hopping on Twitter, whatever it was, it was always kind of dictating my life, if that makes sense. And I was almost a prisoner to social media.
Got it.
Nowadays, I don't even now afterwards, I don't post very much. I might share or do like a long form comment on a video that I've shared or something. I don't do too much though anymore. Only when I really feel the need or something really is like twinged me and I've really wanted to dive in on it. I feel passionate about it, so I want to make a post about it. And it's worked so much better for me. Like, sure, I might not have it as many views or as many likes or as many comments or have grown as much as I potentially could. But I think I've changed my priorities as well. The priority now isn't maximum engagement, maximum views. It's, this is what is like real to me. This is my truth. So take it or leave it kind of thing. I'm not grabbing for that attention. I'm not grabbing for those views or those clicks.
Okay. Yeah, definitely hearing what you're saying, and lots of things are coming up for me. First of all, well done. I think to take 30 days off of something that so many of us, as you say, it's become a drug, right? It's become an addiction
100%.
where we're picking up our phone and not even thinking about it. Like from a subconscious and an unconscious level, we're picking up our phone without even really knowing why. So to break that cycle,
it's a habit.
100%. So yeah, to break that cycle, I think, you know, and being a young kid too, and I hope you don't mind me saying that, I'm saying that as a compliment. You know, being a young kid and being able to do that, I think is, you know, is quite admirable. So well done. On the flip side of that, I think, and what I'm assuming is that you were posting every day to build this brand, to build this Matt Collins brand or business or whatever it is.
100%.
And it's going to be hard work, right?
Yeah.
And I can say that because that's exactly my goals. And, you know, it is consistency. It is just doing it even when you don't want to do it. And you're a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, and that's all he talks about is you got to do it even when you don't want to do it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's why I was really interested to have this conversation with you, because I know that that's where it's very obvious to see that was where you were headed. And then to go, okay, I'm pulling out of social media for a month. I'm out of here. And I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. So was it starting to affect you mentally? Was it starting to affect you physically? Would you say that was happening?
It was probably just for like a few softer reasons in the sense that I just wanted more time back. And I totally understand, and I get hard work is necessary and is required. And if you're not willing to put in that effort, then it's almost not worth doing. And I think the biggest thing for me was just changing priorities. So I'm still a huge fan of Gary Vee. There's a lot of things that I really like of his, although I've moved away a little bit from like just hitting my head up against the wall 24/7, just hustle. And trading that in for I'd like to say balance, but trading that in for like just happiness, I suppose, in the sense that like I was, and don't mind like me, like I was happy when I was posting and it was fine and it was good and I was enjoying it. Although I suppose the distinction would be that having more time to do the things that I really wanted to do, more so than doing things that I have to do. And in a year or in 6 months or tomorrow, I may be saying the exact opposite, and I'm just going to be going like 100% all in again. For the moment though, for this interchange right now, like right now, I'm loving a lot more taking the time to, whether that be study or look up new things or expand my learning more so than just posting because I need to. I enjoy being able to post because I want to.
Got it. What's your platform of choice?
The easiest thing for me is Facebook, just because through TCI, in the WOW team, the student support team, we go through all the Facebook pages each day, and I think that's just the easiest because I'm going to be on there anyway. So if I'm going to be like literally going to be on there anyway each day for my WOW team responsibilities. So getting onto the like just personally is easiest for me because I'm already going to be there.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, so
I'll be honest, I haven't used Snapchat or Twitter or Instagram or any of the other big ones ever since the 30-day social media fast.
Yeah, wow, that's cool. That's interesting to know. You didn't go back to them?
Well, I suppose I have my main thing, and my main thing has always been Facebook. Yeah. And it's always just been the easiest to kind of go on and upload and get engagement because I've obviously got a lot more people on there than any of the other platforms. And I suppose it's just been my go-to.
Yeah, I had one of these chats with a mind coach. Her name's Kylie Ryan, and she has like 30,000 likes. And she said the same. She said the same thing. She said she started to do Instagram and maybe Snapchat and stuff like that, but she thought rather than spread herself thin, to just focus on the one platform, and obviously she picks Facebook and seems to be working
totally. And that totally, and that could have been where I fell short as well during my time trying to do everything rather than just being good at one thing. And again, that's feedback to me to potentially reevaluate where I'm at with that as well.
Yeah, this is a really good conversation for me. Like my partner and I, we talk about this, and I spend way too much time on Facebook. I don't mind saying that. I really do. But what I sort of had been contemplating, and this what you just talked about has really added to that for me, is having a set time/times in a day where it's Facebook time. So I might go right from 7 till 8 or 7 till 7:30 in the morning is Facebook time. From 12 till 12:30 at lunchtime is Facebook time, and that's it. And then, like you, I switch it off for the rest of the day, because as it is,
Totally.
it's just every minute I'm picking up my phone to see what notifications come in, or who's replied to this or that, and you end up spending way more than if I had just said, right, in the morning, at lunchtime, and then it's done.
Yeah, 100%. That's probably been one of the biggest things I've gotten from actually working in such a structured environment as well. Being able to say, oh, I need to do this by this time, and then this is what I'm doing next, and then this is what I'm doing after that, and this is my plan for the day. So that was probably my biggest shortcoming, as well as like a business owner, as whatever you want to call me. I wouldn't structure my days as well as I could, and
Exactly.
I'm happy to say that now that's changed. So even when I'm at home, I get shit done more so than just wank about and get two of the things that I want to get done.
That's right, and it's so important, right? Like, I'll set up alarms to say, right, well, this is the time now where I'm doing, we're going for a run, or going to the gym, or doing study for my masters, or doing Facebook, and setting up those alarms. You can start to structure your day a lot more than just maybe where you have been, and I've definitely been before, where you're just sort of freestyling through each day. And some days you get shit done, and other days you don't.
Yeah.
Interesting. Totally. Mate, I want to take you back and get your point of view of, say, a 15, 16, 17-year-old at school. And I want you to offer some advice to those people. So if someone's watching and, they're in that grade 10, 11, 12 age, and they're thinking of, where will I be in my early 20s? What sort of advice would you give to those guys in their last years of schooling?
Sure. One of the biggest things that I kind of undervalued when I was like that age back in the day, so long ago. Yeah. One of the biggest things I undervalued the most was giving a fuck what people thought about me. And literally, like, that was my biggest issue, because I was just like, oh, if I did this, then they'll think that, and then I can't do this because of that, and because of them and him and her and us and them and we. And I fucking was just frozen in this state of perpetual bullshit of not really doing what I wanted to do, but not also doing anything that really got me anywhere outside of like sport or soccer.
Yeah.
And like literally, that's been one of the biggest proper realizations of nobody actually really gives a fuck about like you. I'll rephrase it. So
no need.
If you do so,
that was perfect.
Like no one gives a fuck. Like no one gives a fuck what you do. Like maybe your mum, like, but seriously,
you can always count on your mum.
You know what I mean? Like, no matter what you do, if you're a fucking idiot in the street, no one actually gives a fuck. They're just going with their lives because they're so focused on themselves that it doesn't matter to them. They saw a crazy guy on the street. It doesn't matter to them it doesn't matter even in like a school environment. So people are so focused on themselves so much more than they're focused on you. People's primary focus isn't you. You're not the center of everyone's universe. It's actually quite arrogant, and you have to have quite a big ego to expect so many people to think of you instead of themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't give a fuck.
That's so well said, Matty. And I remember I used to own a couple of gyms, and I would have someone join the gym, and they would be in their first few sessions, and I'd go and have a chat to them and say, "How you going?" And they'd say, I feel very self-conscious here in the gym. I feel like everyone's watching me and judging me. And I would say to them, no one's judging you because they're too busy worried about what you think of them.
Yeah.
And totally. That's just not the gym. That's the real world, right? That's school. That's in the food bar. That's in the coffee shop. That's on the sporting field. Everyone's worried about what you think about them. No one really cares about you.
They really don't. That's the humongous thing. It doesn't matter whether you wear glasses or contacts. It doesn't matter whether you wear a blue or black shirt. It doesn't matter what shit you wear. If it's good to you and if you're like down with it and you rock it and you're confident with it, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. All right, so let me play. I've got a time machine. I take you back to grade 12 again, right? All those years ago.
Oh fuck! Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
It's day one of grade 12. How do you play out the year? What's different, knowing what you know now?
Sure. So I would be a lot better at communicating. And this may sound whatever, but I would be a lot better at getting my way through things in conversations, in discussions, and I suppose getting my way. I'd be a lot better with literally just conversations and saying what I thought more so than what I thought people wanted me to say. Having an opinion, having a voice more so than just, oh yeah, whatever they said. And I would be doing the things that I deep down knew that I wanted to do more so than because anybody else wanted me to do them.
Because back when you were 17, and if you did speak up and offer an opinion different to someone else, what would that mean if you did do that?
Totally. I think all along my schooling, whenever I would offer an opinion and it would be rejected, I'd take that personally, as we are meaning making machines.
100%.
That was the meaning I made to it. My opinion isn't valid. It doesn't matter. Why am I even talking? I'll just be quiet. It'll be better for the whole. It'd be better for the whole class if I just didn't say very much. And ever since starting coaching, and ever since kind of, this may sound wanky, but kind of growing into like a more like adult version of myself, it's like I wouldn't be able to converse like this way. I have built some very solid and some very strong opinions about myself and about life and about certain genres and topics. Whereas I was very flaky back in the day, very flaky.
What does that mean?
Sorry, flaky. So I wouldn't have an opinion on very many things. I'd be agreeable. I'd be all right to hang out with. I wouldn't start very many kind of conversations that were more than how you going. And now,
because if you did do that, that would mean that someone's going to shut you down, and you didn't want that, or why wouldn't you?
I think it was just a lack of confidence in the sense that, it just wasn't. I didn't value myself enough to have those opinions. Yeah.
All right, mate. Amazing advice. I'm so glad I asked you. So I'm going to ask another one. So you're back in grade 12 again. It's day one of grade 12. What are your thoughts on what you're being taught over that 12-month period. And I haven't sort of preloaded any of these questions with you, so I'm just hitting them with you
Yeah.
live. So,
Sure. My opinion on the school system is that it needs a big fucking makeover. Like, you don't learn life shit from school. Like, it's just straight up like English, maths, science, fucking whatever. Like, you can do like psychology and shit, but none of it's really, well, almost none of it's life focused, in the sense that there's so much more to be learned and to be had doing things rather than just doing tests and exams and being in a cubicle room with a teacher telling you that you're wrong and that they're right, and marking your shit as if it is bad because the teacher subjectively thought it was worse than what they thought is good. I think because things like art, things like writing, things that require creativity are very subjective. And obviously there's good teachers and good people that can assess well. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, there seems to be an almost ego around, like, the teachers needing to be right because they're teachers and they're the authority, and I don't want to make blanket statements because I know that's the wrong thing to do.
After you've just made them, yeah.
At least from my experience.
Okay.
And I think it is important because, okay, here's the biggest thing. They don't teach self-awareness. Self-awareness has been one of the biggest things for me personally. Learning about self, learning about what I like, learning about what I can do, learning that I can push my limits, that I can do things that I didn't think I could do, that it requires courage and feeling the fear, but doing it anyway. And you're never going to know how to swim by reading a book. You're going to have to jump into the pool and fucking swim.
I like that.
And yeah, I suppose the biggest thing for me is unfortunately schools don't teach self-awareness.
Yeah.
If they did, there would be so much less, in this is in my opinion, so much less depression, so much less anxiety, especially around future events, around what people are going to do with their life, around purpose, about passion. Because and this is from my experience, I can only talk from my experience. These people, these students, they've only woken up to themselves for the last year or two, because they're just like, oh, well, I'm like 17, I'm 18 now, so I'm actually like good now. I know myself more so. So they've only actually lived with themselves for a year or two. So how are they supposed to know what they're supposed to do for the next 70, 80 years?
Exactly. Yeah,
and
great question.
I think it's very important in the beginning to fail at a lot of shit, to just to do things, find out that you're not good at it, keep going until you know that it's something that you don't want to do because you don't actually enjoy it. But experience pain, experience uncomfort, stretch your boundaries, do things that are not the norm. Go and do, like, not stupid shit, but do things that are like out there. Like, test your limits. The worst thing would be to stay comfortable and to live in an apathetic world, because what's the point of fucking life in that kind of world? And what's the point if you're not growing?
Exactly. And like you say, not speaking out in a group, like you did at school, right? You said that you didn't speak out because it would have rocked the boat, but that's totally the point, right? Is you should rock the boat. You should find out where you sit. You should find out where you are successful, where your strengths are, and where you're going to succeed, and where your passions are. And that's awesome, mate.
Even on certain things, even on certain things that you don't quite have clarity around, raising the question, the debate, the conversation, not only will it improve your understanding of the topic, it'll improve the other side or the other person's understanding of the topic as well. Because the more you verbalize something, the more you can understand it. You can only know so much conceptually just inside your own head. If you're able to explain it and have a conversation about it, it's so much different than just talking to yourself.
Exactly. Just bear with me 2 secs, mate. You can come in,
Go
babe.
for it.
It's all right. Yeah, you're right. My partner wants to get to the bathroom. He wants to get in the shower, I think. But all right, so on top of that, right, so we're talking about 17-year-olds going to 18, and it's a significant year, right? It's 1 year, but it's like 10 years symbolically. Do you think that's an age thing? Like here you are, and you know you're in your early 20s, and you've learned so much from the different education stuff that you've done. Do you think we learn more just because we get older, or can people? I guess my question is, can people learn this stuff that you've learned when they are 15, 16, 17? Or are they too young to take it in?
Great. So for this, I think it very much so depends on the person and their environment and their beliefs and their how they see the world. So, for example, you've got someone like Caleb Maddox. I don't know if you've seen him.
Yeah, I like Caleb. Yeah.
His environment, the way that he was brought up, is integral in the way he explores the world nowadays. So, if you're kind of brought into the world with that kind of filter, like a possibility filter, then like a possibility filter more so than like just a necessity filter. And it's just a willingness, I think, as well, a willingness to hunger and grow, because anyone can learn this stuff. It's not hard shit. Like, this is very easily understandable if you take a second to understand.
It's really what we fill our heads with, right? So you can fill your head with long division, algebra, and
Totally
learning Chinese, or you can fill your head with investments, learning about the stock market, learning about self-awareness, learning about spatial awareness, learning how to communicate better, learning how to take rejection, learning how to fail, right? It's just
what you make a priority.
Exactly.
That's all it is. If you're wanting to do that, and you're wanting to grow, you're wanting to do more, you're wanting to kind of improve your life more so than your fucking score at a test.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome, mate. It's really good. I wish my boy's 14 in a couple of months, and he put a photo up. I'll be real and raw and honest with you here, Matt. So don't let this go. This goes no further.
I appreciate it. Go for it.
So he put a photo up on his Instagram account of him and his girlfriend kissing, and it wasn't just how you kissed your sister, right? It was a real kiss, and
sure,
you know, and he's 13 years old, and social media wasn't around when I was 13, right? So I saw that today, and it just was like a punch in the face, and not necessarily a bad thing. Like he's a pretty honest kid, and he's, as far as I know of my son, he's ethical, and he's a good kid. But yeah, seeing that, I kind of went, all right, that's cool, and you've got a girlfriend, and I'm glad that you're happy and everything else. But don't rush into that, right? Like, there's so many other things you could be learning as a 13-year-old besides finding out what's at the back of your girlfriend's mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really, and I suppose my opinion on this is, it is a super important topic that unfortunately so many people don't actually cover or get the discussion out there, that kids need to be fucking kids and know what it's like to be a kid. Like, if you're wanting to, like, there's only so many things to do with like a girl or like a partner. Like, that shit can fucking wait. Like, it's it comes back to priorities, and this is just like a quick little from my thoughts on the situation. I obviously don't know your son, your situation, how he is or anything, but it's probably just the norm in his school or in his friend group who he decides to hang out with. Certain things I know from like my experience that was what the cool kids were always doing. Like it's become even more and more over the years. I know, like back in my day, it was pretty like bad, but I know over the years with like the more kind of hypersexualization of so many things has just increased that even more so. Which
exactly.
Yeah, that comes back to media, and that's like mainstream media. That's a whole other conversation.
Well, it does. It does come back to that, but I need to also put my hand up as the parent, and I don't want to say control that because I don't parent that way, but educate him in that I've got no issues with what happened, right? That's fine, and that was just one photo. That's no dramas at all as far as I'm concerned. But I also want him to know that that's one aspect of your life, having people around you that you're close with and everything. That's cool. But don't forget there's so many other aspects of your life too. And like you said, it might be the cool thing that's going on at school. But I like to think I've raised my boy well enough that he doesn't necessarily care about the cool thing to do.
Great.
I could be wrong, maybe I'm not right there, but I'd like to think that he knows enough that he doesn't give in to peer pressure. He's not a sheep. He doesn't just do stuff because other people do it. Or maybe I'm naive. Maybe he does do those things. I'd have to have a better chat with
him. So here's a question. So what kind of example are you setting? And this is just completely unbiased, unfiltered, just very curious. So what kind of example have you set for him over the years? What micro things could you have potentially imprinted?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of goods and bads there. Like, for example, he has seen me drunk to the point of vomiting. He's witnessed that, but he's also witnessed the communication afterwards where I said, that's something that happens sometimes, and he will probably experience it, and it's normal. It's not something that you do all the time, but that might happen, right? On the flip side of that, him and I have sat down from the age of 8 and 9 and talked about the stock market.
Fantastic.
Him and I have sat down when he was about 10, and we talked about girls and why he feels a certain way when he talks to certain girls, and we've had conversations like that. So off the top of my head, that's a couple of examples that I'm proud of. There's probably a lot more that I'm not so proud of. I've never hit my son. I'll say that. I know a lot of parents that have hit their kids, but I've never hit Noah before.
Here's the question, and this is just interesting for me, and I don't think this is you, but I'm just very curious. When like your parenting style, is it, for example, going to a family reunion? Is it go shake their hand, go say hello, or just have fun and do your own thing?
Yeah, no, he does his own thing.
Great, cool. Yeah. I learned something around that the other day. I was just very curious around how that plays out in an actual, because obviously I'm not a parent. I don't have any real life experience with an own child of mine. So I only have theoretical and conceptual knowledge on the subject.
And that's a really good question though. And like, his mum and I split when he was quite young, and we've always, as far as I'm concerned anyway, we've had more of a mateship rather than a father and son
Great.
relationship, which I'm actually quite proud of. I think, because me and my father didn't really have a mates kind of relationship. It was always very much just, you're the dad, you're the son, and that's how it was, very clinical like that. So I made a point of, with my son, I'd like to think we're really good mates. So I'll go play cards and drink beers with my mates, and Noah comes with me, and he wins all our money, and then we go home, So yeah, it's very much not do this because I'm the dad. It's definitely not like that.
Great. How do you think having that mateship more so than because obviously as you would know, when children are born, they see parents as literal gods. Like literally, these people control my entire future. So how do you think that would have affected or gone throughout his development with having a mateship more so than a kind of father-son
Good
kind of dynamic
question.
going?
Great question. I can only speak for what I had with my dad and now what I have with my son. I didn't open up to my dad, I guess, because I didn't feel that we related in that way. I would like to think, well, I know for a fact that I'm a lot more open with my son than I ever was with my dad, and I'd like to think that. So to answer your question, I'd like to think that we have a lot more of an honest and open relationship because of that less dominant father-son thing.
Great. And I don't think that father-son has to be all dominant and all submissive either. It can be a functional, I'm literally just here to support you more so than okay, how could I language this? This is a very, very good, interesting topic as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I haven't had the chance to actually unpack this very much. So I'm still unwrapping different kind of logical levels for myself. But yeah, I do think regardless, a mateship is better than a dictatorship.
Yeah, and I think some fathers don't know any other way. I think they wouldn't have that awareness.
There's this thing called the tribal cycle. And what that means is in family units, let's say the mum and the dad treats the kid a certain way, then the kid, most of the time, majority of the time, if they didn't have self-awareness and didn't do any kind of inner work or self-awareness or knowing why they do what they do, they would play out those same patterns in their family with their wife and their son. And they just perpetuate throughout the generations. So, for example, a mother has or a father has a gambling habit, and that's due to some need that's not being met, then that's a lot of the time fed down into the children. Same with eating habits. That's just the way these kids have been brought up and raised into the world. And that's their entire belief system. That's their map of the world. This is what we do when this happens. This is how we are. This is what we're doing. And this is why we're doing it.
There's a really good documentary called 7 Up. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they come back every 7 years?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
And the basis of that whole series is who you are when you're 7 is who you're going to be for the rest of your life, and in lots of different ways. So how you think about money, how you think about love, how you think about socializing, who you are at 7 is then played out for the next 100 years. So they come back and see these kids every 7 years. And surprise, surprise, that's who they are the whole way through. The rich kids stay the rich kids. The poor kids stay the poor kids. The social butterfly girls at 7 are still, the social butterfly girls at 49. So yeah, so it definitely sort of plays into what you're saying. I don't know. However, and I'm wary of time too, Matty. We'll start to wrap this up, but how when you know that your parents do something and you always think to yourself, I'm never going to do that. I'm going to make sure I never do whatever that thing is. And and with my dad, it was very antisocial, right? Just really not a social guy. And in a lot of ways, that I was, I admire that about him. He didn't feel the need to have to speak up, much like, we talked about you at school, and, he definitely wasn't a sheep. He did his own thing. But I also looked at that and went, I don't want to be that antisocial. I don't want to be that kind of person. But it's still ingrained in me, right? It's still ingrained into me to be that. And I'm very introverted, and I don't, going into a group of people and socializing, I'd rather shoot myself, to be completely honest. But I make the effort because, like I said, I want to try and break that mold and not be this, 7-Up type of situation happening.
Yeah, totally. And I think also that going back to the 7-Up is that those people wouldn't have done any kind of inner work. They wouldn't be looking at why they do what they do, what's caused that. Because we are almost completely shaped by our environment and the beliefs that our parents instill in us. And that's kind of like the pinnacle that we kind of like to reject. Our parents literally form most of our beliefs by the time we're 7. Like between that 0 to 7, we've got that humongous sponge period where we literally soak up everything in our environment. Why do you think the kids in the rough neighborhoods are rough and they're tough? Why do you think the rich kids in the rich neighborhoods are proper? That's their environment that they've grown up in. Now, we can have the discussion about whether or not it's their fault and whether it's them their unique being or whatever. That's just the reality, that's where these behaviors come from. Most of our being isn't actually us until we explore why what we do is us.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And another argument as to why some of this stuff could be a part of the curriculum, right?
I'd love to see more of this stuff in the curriculum, and that's actually what's happening now. Linking back into TCI, we've got an ambassador program which is called Your Success, and it's a 12-module program. It's got all this amazing content in it around behavior and everything. So many different things. I can't even remember all of them. And what people are actually doing now is they're taking this into schools, and they're actually implementing this with the teachers and with the students and with the principal and with everyone in that system. And they're getting amazing results, because not only do the teachers grow themselves, so they're able to give more to the students, but the students are kind of understanding and accepting and realizing why they're feeling what they're feeling, and what they're why they're doing what they're doing, and what they can do differently, and how they can change and how they can be their best selves. And it's a fantastic opportunity for coaches from the community to access that.
Sure, and it's great for the kids to get a bite-sized piece of this sort of coaching, right?
Totally.
Matty, great chat, mate. Really awesome. I wanted to chat to you because you're my namesake and you've got the world's coolest name. But what came out of it was a really, really good conversation, mate. So I really appreciate your time.
I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation as well. I'm really glad that I was able to get on the call.
Nice one, mate. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, mate.
See you, bud.
Bye.